So you want to start a cult. Not a scam, not a brand. A real, full-send, psychologically airtight cult. Don't worry, you don't need robes or Kool-Aid anymore. You need a few basic ingredients. Unresolved trauma, half-decent Wi-Fi signal, and the unshakable confidence of a man who owns multiple ring lights. Because no one joins a cult. They join a path, a movement, a community that gets them. They're not being brainwashed. They're just finally healing. That's the trick. Cults don't look like cults anymore. They look like biohacking conferences, influencer retreats, and YouTube channels that promise to unlock your higher self for $47 a month. Nexivium didn't start with branding irons. It started with executive coaching seminars and icebreaker games. The Rajneesh cult, first it was meditation, then it was arming a small city in Oregon. The line between self-help and spiritual hostage situation is thinner than you think. So where do you start? Easy. You find broken people who are overwhelmed, disoriented, or freshly heartbroken, divorcees, burnout cases, or someone who just finished their third ayahuasca retreat with no personality reset to show for it. Psychologists call this identity destabilization. When someone's worldview cracks, they're desperate to patch it with anything that feels certain. And certainty, real or fake, feels like relief. You're not offering answers. You're offering emotional gravity. The more lost they feel, the more gravitational pull your nonsense will have. Don't market to strong people. Market to the ones Googling, why do I feel like I'm spiritually blocked at 2 a.m.? But you can't just find them. You have to flood them. You drown them in validation like a golden retriever with a whiteboard of affirmations. You've always belonged here. You were meant for this. We felt your energy the moment you walked in. It's not manipulation. It's neuroscience. Love bombing floods the brain with dopamine and oxytocin. Cults do it. Abusive partners do it. So do multi-level marketers who call you queen while selling you fiber gummies. The Rajneesh movement mastered this. First you got affection, peace, purpose. Then you shaved your head, wore maroon robes, called a man in oversized sunglasses your divine leader. But by then, you were already too high on group acceptance to care. Once someone feels seen, it's time to cut them off from anything that might undo your work. You don't tell them to stop talking to their friends. You tell them their friends don't get it, that outsiders are stuck in old patterns, that their family is trapped in low vibration thinking. You're not isolating them, you're protecting their energy. The goal isn't control, it's boundaries. Cults call this milieu control, a term psychologists use to describe information isolation. The fewer outside perspectives they hear, the more your voice echoes. Jehovah's Witnesses call it disfellowshipping. QAnon does it with private Telegram groups. Scientology, suppressive persons. The label doesn't matter. The outcome is the same. The group becomes the only place that feels safe. Now that the outside world is the enemy, you start reshaping the inside. That begins with language. Every good cult has its own vocabulary, not for branding, for thought control. This is the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis in action. If people don't have the words to question something, they probably won't. So you invent terms that sound spiritual but mean nothing. Doubt becomes ego resistance. Questions are shadow triggers. Leaving? That's just someone detaching from the frequency. Heaven's Gate didn't say they were committing mass unaliving. They said they were exiting their vehicles. Scientology doesn't call manipulation manipulation. They call it tech. The language doesn't clarify. It clouds. And when every sentence only makes sense inside the group, people stop translating their thoughts into anything the outside world understands. And the moment language starts breaking reality, you hit them with the final trick. Everything is a sign. They didn't find you randomly. It was fate. Their car breaking down, the universe told them they weren't ready to leave. That shiver they got during your live stream, that was divine confirmation. It's called mystical manipulation, taking random events and reframing them as proof you were right all along. Charles Manson told his followers the Beatles were sending him secret messages through the White Album. Heaven's Gate believed a spaceship was trailing behind a comet. In both cases, people didn't need logic. They had a pattern that made them feel chosen. Once they believe everything is a sign, logic's already halfway out the door. Now it's time to finish the job with guilt. Guilt is your best friend. It's stickier than love and more effective than fear. You don't even have to be mean about it. Just make everything their fault. If someone doubts the group, you don't explain. You ask, why are you resisting the process? If they're tired or overwhelmed, you tell them they're not doing the work. And if they want to leave, well, clearly their shadow self still isn't healed. These are called thought-terminating cliches, phrases designed to shut down critical thinking while sounding profound. Don't overthink it. That's just your ego talking. You'll understand when you're ready. They feel like answers, but mean absolutely nothing. Scientology weaponized this with the term suppressive person. Teal Swan's followers use it when someone isn't aligned with the message. It's not that you can't question things. It's that asking questions means something is wrong with you. And just to lock it in, add confession. You make people share, weekly calls, group circles, emotional breakdowns in front of strangers named Moonbeam and Chad. It doesn't matter what you call it. Auditing, trauma clearing, alignment recalibration. The structure is the same. Regular public admissions of failure that reinforce loyalty through shame. The more someone shares their doubts, sins, or missteps with the group, the more trapped they become. Because now walking away doesn't just mean leaving the group, it means admitting everything they confessed was for nothing. That's why cults don't need fences. They build psychological cages. You're not holding them hostage. They're holding themselves accountable to the illusion that they're healing. But belief can fade, shame can be dull. So what keeps them stuck? stuck, exhaustion. Cults don't want you rested. They want you drained. Sleep is a liability, free time is a threat. So they fill every hour with rituals, content, journaling, self-reflection, gratitude practice, integration workshops, or inner work. Sounds wholesome, right? It's not. It's a burnout loop. You exhaust people so they don't have the energy to reflect, just enough to obey. When someone's tired, guilty, isolated, and emotionally fried, they stop asking if this is working. They start asking what else they can do to prove they believe. And that's the moment they stop needing to be convinced, because now they're trying to convince themselves. So why does any of this work? Because cults don't prey on stupidity. They prey on normal psychological needs. The need for identity, belonging, meaning, certainty, all the stuff the real world sucks at providing. And that's where terror management theory kicks in. It's the idea that when people remember they're going to die, they cling to belief systems that make them feel safe, important, or immortal. Cults offer all three. You're not just a person. You're chosen. You're not just existing. You're transforming. You're not just scared of death. You're a part of something that transcends it. It's not a scam. It's salvation with a logo. And once belief fuses with identity, leaving isn't just hard. It's psychological suicide. Because now, if the group is wrong, then everything you've done, confessed, sacrificed, or lost was for nothing. And the brain would rather double down on a lie than admit it's been fooled. That's why the people who go the deepest don't usually wake up. They build deeper reasons to stay, stronger stories, sharper boundaries. They need to believe it more, not less. And they'll defend the group like it's their own reflection. Make them feel seen. Give them a vocabulary. Cut off the noise. Flood them with meaning. Exhaust their defenses. And when they're ready to break, hold them close and whisper, "You were never broken. You were just meant for this." But whatever you do, don't call it a cult. Call it a community, a movement, a path, something that feels less dangerous. Because the trick to starting a cult is making sure no one calls it one.